So a question I've had recently is what is there to being knowledgeable? Like how does one become smart, right? And the way I see it, it's made up of two things, right? Um the first is knowledge retention, remembering remembering ideas. Which is the kind of thing that they tested you in school, right? The ability to recall facts and information without necessarily bringing in your own viewpoint onto it, right? And the second part is precisely that latter half of what I just mentioned. That is bringing your own viewpoints and coming to your own conclusions based on the observations that you make. So, to summarize that briefly in layman's terms, um, the first is taking ideas, concepts from other people, and understanding them yourself. And the second aspect is making these concepts up yourself, essentially, making your own ideas of how the world works and how, um, and basically, yeah, basically your own interpretations of everything. Um, and I think those two aspects together is what constitutes intelligence. Now, developing this is it can be difficult, but with practice, it's possible, right? Just read books and absorb information. You don't necessarily have to remember what they're. You don't have to remember everything in the book, of course. Just hang on to some of the ideas that resonate with you, right? Because the way you remember things is when when they elicit an emotional reaction within you. That's how you remember things. You remember that one painful memory you might have? Well, the reason you remember it is because it was painful, right? So you can use this same idea when it comes to learning information, all right? This is why you often hear kids complain that school is boring and that maybe if it was more interesting, then they would learn, right? Well, that's basically it. That's that's basically it. If you make the information that you wish to retain interesting to you, then that's that's how you learn, right? Like for example, there's this one fact I remember from a lecture that I had a couple of weeks ago. Uh, that was it referred to an older Chinese admiral from the 14th century, early 14th century, who apparently launched expeditions um, and got as far as Saudi Arabia from China in the 14th century, well, 15th century, sorry, until the Chinese not general, the Chinese emperor banned all international, all not internet, banned expeditions and colonization in 1437. Um, and the reason I remember that is not because I have a script here, because I'm reading from a script. I'm not reading from a script. I've already stated that these videos are unscripted. But the reason I remember that is because I was shocked to hear that it wasn't Christopher Columbus or Marco Polo or any other Ferdinand Magellan or any other of those Western explorers that we hear about, who was the first to discover those lands, right? Because this Chinese admiral, he launched expeditions as early as I think it was 1407, which was way before um, that was like a good 90 years before Christopher Columbus discovered America. Well, not 90, but like that sort of time scale. And yeah, basically, what I'm trying to say is that the reason I recall that is because I was shocked to hear this information for the first time, and that's what made me remember it. Remember it now, and I'll probably remember it for a long, long time. That's that's how I work. That's how my mind works personally. If I remember something now, um, then I will probably remember it for until the day I die. Um, I mean, of course, it's not possible to remember everything, and it's not possible to elicit the sort of emotional reaction voluntarily. This is, or at least I haven't found any success in that, unfortunately. But um, um, like I said, the way that you do remember things is once this emotional reaction takes place, and you could facilitate that potentially by um, learning in subjects that you are interested in. And if you discover certain new facts that you want to learn, then the way you do that is, well, I think it's easy for me to say that you just kind of remember it because that's how it works for me, I guess. But each person's different. You kind of have to be willing to be in this sort of mindset to learn things. And I think what helped me was what I discussed in my previous video, um, which um, which was about how I basically perceive everything um, as existing solely for the purpose of me to learn about it and to discover it. That's what makes me interested in things, and um, that's how I learn, right? So that's only I've just talked about the first aspect of intelligence, right? The knowledge retention aspect, and the second aspect, which is critical thinking and analysis, which is what helps you create your own thoughts and your own ideas. Um, that is a little bit more difficult to develop. Um, sorry. Um, that I suppose the way you do that is you learn to stop taking things at face value, and what that means basically is that you want to question everything. Um, that's what one of my teachers told me back in a good few years ago now. But um, what he said was that that was precisely what he said. You should question everything that you hear, even if like not. The reason you should question things is not because you have to be aware of misinformation or an author's personal biases or anything like that, even though that is something you should think about. But no, that's not why. The reason you should question things is because the way I see it, um, every author, every viewpoint has its merit, but um, you have to balance things out in terms of in terms of what you view and what you believe, and how much you agree with certain authors and certain viewpoints, right? Of course, you can agree with some more than others, but what you need to realize is that from just there is you can learn something from just about everyone out there, right? So you don't have to agree with everything a person says. All right. They can be a bad person, right? They could have said some controversial, unsavory things, perhaps, but that doesn't mean that absolutely everything that they say is complete rubbish, right? And on the contrary, there might be some well-renowned, reputable expert out there on a certain topic, but that also doesn't mean that he doesn't make mistakes, all right? Not everything that somebody says is good. Not everything that a well-versed expert says is 100% fact, and not everything that a fool says is stupid. All right, that's the main thing I want to get across of this video, right? So you want to take notes from just about everyone, and you want to, once you've taken these notes, I want you to read through them and pick out the parts that make sense to you and stick to those parts. That is how you develop the ability to evaluate and think for yourself, so to speak. So the next time somebody comes up to you and says a load of rubbish, you won't believe in it immediately, and you won't fall for perhaps the logical fallacies or the traps that they set out for you, the manipulative traps that they might have set out for you. But that is more to do with misinformation, which I suppose is a different topic in itself, and that's not the focus of today's video. Today's video is, like I said, how to develop your own mind. And yeah, I believe I said all I needed to say. Make sure to read books, right? It's not just a nerdy it's just not a nerdy hobby, all right? It's not just something that old people do, right? It's you can gain a lot from storybooks, right? You can learn from new perspectives, right? Because everyone, where I see it, right, every single person has their own glimpse of the full truth that's out there, and if you combine different aspects of those glimpses, then you get something that's close to the full picture. So yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to say. I'm sorry that I haven't been uploading that much recently, but honestly, I've just haven't really felt like it. Maybe I'll upload a bit more, who knows. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you.